Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskar. We will now be moving into the last lecture of the 5th module of our course on sales and distribution management. This is lecture 25, and the topic which we shall be discussing is training. Now, training again is a part of Salesforce management. Once companies have gone in for job analysis and they've gone in for recruitment and selection, the next stage or next kind of activity that they must involve themselves into is training. However, this training is something which is not always an initial training meant for fresh recruits, but it is something which could be lifelong over the career life or a career span of an employee or of a sales employee or a sales manager. So we shall be discussing this topic on training in this particular lecture. Now, this topic, which is training, is spread over 2 lectures, which is lecture number 25 and number 26. So we shall talk about training, what is training, why is training required, and we shall also start the process of training in this particular lecture, and we shall continue with the process of training in the subsequent lecture. This particular topic, which is training, shall be covered in 2 lectures, which is lecture 25 and lecture 26. So let us begin with this topic, which is training for Salesforce management. And here we again, as I said, we shall be focusing upon both the initial sales training and the continual sales training programs. What are the topics we shall be covering? We shall talk about the meaning and purpose of training. Then we shall move on to discussing how to go about effective training for the employees of the organization or for the sales employees of the company, and then we shall see how do we build or design a sales training program. Now, let us first start with the meaning and purpose of training. And now, training is a systematic process by which job related KSAs or knowledge, skills and abilities of employees are enhanced for the overall improvement in job performance. Now, we have seen that when we go for a job analysis, what emerges out of it is, one, the nature of the duties, responsibilities and the tasks to be performed by the employee or by the salesperson in our case, and this is explained through the job description, which tells you about the job title, the job position, the nature and scope of every job position, and it also talks about the duties, the roles, the responsibilities. The second part or the second outcome of the job analysis is the job specification, which talks about the knowledge, skills and abilities of people, their educational background, their experience, and the different kinds of qualities which are required by a person to be able to perform well on a job position. So we call this as job specification. So both job description and job specification, which actually start the entire process of Salesforce management, will be able to explain and give insights into the number of people required, the kind of people required to fill up a sales job position. Now, once people fill up these positions at the entry level, they may or may not possess all the KSAs required for a job to be performed effectively. When people are hired not at the entry level but at middle or senior levels, even there they may need some kind of a skill enhancement or some kind of a enhancement in their abilities, in their grooming, in their orientation to be able to perform well at middle and higher levels. So this means here that what organizations must ensure is that there is a training mechanism in place so as to be able to enhance the knowledge, skills and abilities of people at either at the entry level or at other levels, so as to be able to lead to good performance or good performance at the job position. Okay. So, a training is a systematic process by which job related knowledge, skills and abilities of people are enhanced for their overall performance on the job, overall improvement in the job performance. Now, training not only aims at preparing the newly joined employees for better job performance, but also aims at refining the knowledge, skills and abilities of people in the present jobs or the present employees. Okay, so training here would not only be aimed at preparing newly joined employees for better job performance, but would also mean refining the skills of our company's present employees or the current employee base, so that even their knowledge, skills and abilities can be enhanced, can be upgraded, can be updated for good performance at the individual level, at the group level, in the team level or at the organizational level. Now, training plays a very critical role in enhancing the capabilities of people for performing the various tasks which are given to them. Now, as I said, training is necessary for freshly joined salespersons as well as for preparing existing employees for higher level jobs. Now, freshly joined salespeople, for them companies go in for an initial sales training program to help them perform their job satisfactorily and increase their overall efficiency on the job. So, very, very comprehensive and long training programs are designed for them, some of which may last for even months, 3 months or 6 months or even up to a year. On the other hand, for existing employees, continual sales training programs are designed to help them enhance their knowledge, skills and abilities. Now, these are more intensive and shorter programs, and they could be periodic refresher courses or continuing sales programs or even sales training programs. Now, all of these programs are basically meant to update their knowledge levels about company, about the products, about new technologies, about new market segments. It could also be to enhance their skills, like could be leadership skills or team building skills and so forth. So, whether at the entry level or at the middle and higher level, training is something which is very, very important for organizations. Now, as far as the sales department is concerned, training will help employees in different way. One, it would help them acquire knowledge about the product and the selling policies of the company. Very clearly, when freshly joined recruits or freshly joined salespeople, they may not have the knowledge and skill, the knowledge about the company, about the market, about the segments, about the products. So, acquiring knowledge about the products is something which is essential for them, and also to know about the selling procedures and policy of the company is something which is very, very critical to them. As far as newly hired employees are concerned, this is crucial, but even for people who are already working in an organization, their knowledge base about products, about new technologies, about changes in selling procedures and policies may be which have changed, these people may need to be updated. And so, it is very important that training is conducted, one for fresh employees to help them acquire knowledge about the products and selling procedures or procedures and policies of a company, and it is also conducted for the already existing employees, so that their knowledge can be updated with respect to products or technologies or new market segments or changes having been brought in the selling procedures and selling policies of a company. Training also helps gain insights about the market of the company and the competitors of the company. People are able to learn the art of dealing with customers by traveling with existing persons on calls. So, when people which can be more aptly named as on the job training, when freshly hired recruits are made to travel and make sales presentations with already existing salespersons who are more experienced. So, the freshly hired salespersons or the sales trainee, they travel with the more experienced ones, they make presentations, they learn how to make presentations by observing the more experienced ones, and so this is something which we refer to as on the job training. Also, it would help ease adjustments for salespeople in the organization, adjustments with respect to how to deal with crucial situations or serious situations, and because people are trained together, they get get to know each other better. They also get to know from each other's experiences about how problems can be sorted out, and how things can be brought to order, or brought into control. And so the sales training helps employees in acquiring knowledge, skills, abilities, enhancing them, also to gives them knowledge about the company, about the market, about the competitor, about the selling procedures. The trainees also get to learn the art of dealing with customers, with channel members when they travel with the more experienced ones, and learn how to make presentations with them. And it also helps ease adjustments for salespeople in the organizations. Now, there are certain keys to effective training, and as I said earlier, that it's very essential for organizations to design very effective training programs, and these training programs must be very systematically conducted so as to benefit trainees, and so as to ensure that the costs which are incurred in the training program is something which will give huge benefits, and the benefits in terms of increased performance by the trainees on the job will actually be more than the costs which have been incurred on them. And so in this way, what we are talking of is that overall the training program will be beneficial for a company. So in a nutshell, if effective training programs must be designed so that the costs incurred on conducting them are offset by the benefits in terms of increased job performance by the salesperson. And so in this way, the company would be able to ensure that it has a workforce, or it has a sales team which is well equipped with KSAs and can perform well on the job, in the market, with the customers, with the clients, with the channel members, etc. So what are the different keys for ensuring that effective learning has taken place? One is encourage maximum participation and active participation from the trainees. Now, employees attend training programs, and they must be encouraged to actively participate in them, because participation not only leads to quicker learning, but also ensures that learning stays with the participants even after the training program is over. Now, many times the training becomes a one-way exchange, becomes a one-way dialogue, and a two-way exchange is missing. Now, in this case, it is the trainer who talks, the trainer who shows, and the trainer who dominates the entire activity. This of course is never fruitful, because sooner or later, over a period of a day or a few sessions, the trainees begin to lose interest. So it's very important that instead of the trainer dominating the process, it should be a two-way exchange where both the trainers and the trainees actively participate in the process. The trainees, because of their active participation, would be able to learn faster, and they would also be able to retain whatever they have learned for longer periods of time, because they have actively participated in the process. Second is repetition of behaviors. Now, we spoke about refresher programs a little while ago for existing employees who must be updated with their KSAs as companies change their product lines, or enter into new businesses, or they move into new markets, etc., etc. So we spoke about the refresher program that must be conducted for the existing employees to improve and update their KSAs. It is also important that refresher courses are undertaken to slow down the process of forgetting, because if you do not repeat things, sooner or later people will forget. People would forget the company background, or company history, or company achievements. They would forget the different kinds of product lines and businesses that the company is into. They would also tend to forget the new technologies that have been adopted, or the new kinds of products that they would not know about all these things at all. They would neither know about the new products and services that the company is into, new business lines, or new processes, or new technologies, etc. So it's important that you update your existing update the KSAs of your existing salespeople, but it's also important that you have such courses which are meant to revise what they have learnt in the past, because repetition prevents forgetting. If you do not repeat certain pieces of information, or certain modules in a course which is crucial, or important, your salespeople will sooner or later forget them. So when employees attend training programs, they are also encouraged to repeatedly perform or apply what is being taught to them in training, and they are able to retain it better and apply it properly when it comes to actual working, when it comes to the actual field. Training needs to be repeated, particularly skills training, else people would also forget the various skills and how they are to be used. Learning must be active. Training should not be theoretical. Learner-centered techniques should be adopted to increase and enhance the impact of the training programs, and whatever is learned is something which should be applicable to jobs. So the training program must be application oriented. Companies must ensure that what is being learned by the trainee is something which he will apply, and periodic assessment must be done to see if the trainee is actually applying what he has learned during the training program. So for example, if employees are being trained on a software, they must be asked to apply it while performing on the task during working hours. So this is how it's important that you ask or encourage your employees to apply what they have learned on in their training program. And the fifth element for effective training programs is feedback. Feedback will play a very important role in determining whether the training program was successful or not, whether the trainees have learnt something new, or whether they have been updated on their cases, and how effectively they are being able to apply them. If it is realized that the training program has not been effective, then it means that the HR and the sales and marketing team must sit together and decide on the content of the training program and the methods of the training program. They must revise them and conduct new programs, so that the lacunae or the shortfall in the previous training programs is something which can be met with, and better training programs can be organized. So feedback plays a very critical role in determining whether the training program was effective or not, and what changes have to be made in upcoming or future training programs for improving the efficiency of the people. So how do you make it effective? One, company should have a very strategic vision that it should be a learning organization, and people must be encouraged to learn either at individual levels or at group levels and in the teams. Resource allocation must be there by the top management. Resource allocation here with respect to both time and financial resources. Very, very comprehensive and systematic approaches to training must be adopted. There is a very famous model which is the ACME, where aim, content, method, execution, evaluation. So the aims of the training program need to be decided, the content needs to be developed, the methods of execution in terms of when will it be conducted, where, how need to be decided in the execution stage, and evaluation training has to be evaluated as well. So the aim is the A, for the first A, which is ACME. The A is aim, where the aim of the training program must be decided upon. C is content, which is what needs to be decided upon. Methods have to be agreed upon in terms of what are the methods that will be used for training, and then execution will be where will it take place, when will it take place, how will it take place, and then it's very important that the training program is evaluated as well. So it's very essential that a comprehensive and a systematic approach to training is adopted, and there are linkages between organizational, operational and individual training needs. Organizational is more macro, operational is something which will be more functional and day to day, and individual training needs, which is a micro at the level of the person or the individual himself, are something which are taken care of. So in order to make training effective, it's important that the company has a vision and has a mission of developing its assets in the organization, the human assets, because we all agree that human assets are the most important assets that an organization has. So the top management must be committed with respect to resource allocation, whether it is in terms of time or it is in terms of financial resources. Second is a very comprehensive and systematic approach needs to be developed. The ACME is an approach where the A speaks about aim, the C speaks about content or what is to be delivered, the M speaks about the methods to be adopted, The E speaks about execution, which is where will it be conducted, when and how, and the evaluation is to basically have confirm as to whether the training program has been effective or not. And of course, companies must ensure that there is a linkage between organizational, operational and individual needs. So, now let us come to how do you build sales training programs. Training programs must be need based, and that is why it is very essential that training needs are determined. There are a wide number of training programs which can be organized by a company depending upon the skills that it wants to impart to the new as well as to the existing employees, and a proper analysis of training needs must be done before training programs are organized, because training is an expensive exercise both in terms of time and in terms of money, and it is very essential that a sales training program is designed such that which meets the training requirements or the training needs of the people. So, the sales training process would include an assessment of the sales training needs, designing and executing an effective program, and evaluating and reinforcing the same. So, we have here, we start with assessment of training needs, which will mean determining the training needs, why is training required and what should be imparted. And then there is the implementation of the training program, which is to select the method and execute the same, which is where will the training take place, when will it take place, and how will it take place, who would be the trainees, who would be the trainers. And then of course, the program has to be evaluated to determine its effectiveness. And so, it's a job here is to compare the training outcomes against the objective. So, both group and individual assessments need to be made. Now, let us come to the more crucial part, which is building a sales training program. Now, building an effective sales training program would involve a series of steps which we will describe as follows, and we will be speaking about each of these stages subsequently. We start with defining the training aim. As I said in the previous slides, it is very important that training needs are assessed, because it is based on these needs that the content and methods would be decided and the execution would take place. Now, if these needs are wrongly assessed, it would mean that the program which is designed may not suit the objectives of training or the purpose of training. And so, ultimately what the result would be that while the management expected people to perform well on the job, the opposite may hold good, where the people were not provided with the kind of training which was required to be provided, and so they are not able to achieve the desired performance, and the whole exercise of the training program is something which would be a waste. So, it is very important that you define the training aims. Based on the aims is the training content. So, you decide and prepare the content which is to be delivered to the trainees, whether it is the freshly hired trainees or whether it is the existing employees in the organization. And then you select the training methods, which a large number of methods which can be adopted for training. You implement the training program, which would involve where, how, who, whom, who will be the trainees, who would be trained, where will it take place, when will it happen, how will it happen, and so forth, and then you evaluate the training program. So, these are the 5 different steps or 5 different stages in the training program, in designing a training program. So, the first step here is to define the training aims. So, it is very important to define the aims, as I said, because until unless you define the training aims, you would not be able to reach the desired objective. So, aims specified should be very precise rather than being very general. General aims can be decided, but then they have to be translated into specific aims, which then must be operationalized for achieving the objectives. For example, if the overall objective of a training program is to increase sales in the southern part of the country, what should be done in that region to push sales is what will define the sales training program. So, sales training needs must be very carefully assessed for newly hired recruits, trainees, as well as for the existing salespersons. So, now again, when we identify training needs for the fresh recruits, or in other words, when we are talking about identifying initial training needs, it would involve an analysis of 3 factors. 1, the job specification, 2, the individual trainee's background in terms of his KSAs, and 3, the sales related marketing policies. So, the job specification here would imply assessing the qualities required for performing a job efficiently and effectively, and it would help in determining the focus of the training and looking for answers to questions like what should be the agenda of training, what is more urgent to be imparted, what can be postponed for future, etc. So, because of the job specification for a particular sales job, it would be very, very clear that what are the skills and what are the qualifications which are necessary for a person to be able to perform that job effectively. And if in case of newly hired recruits, it may be suddenly realize that there is a gap between what the trainee possesses and what is actually required. So, in this case, the sales job specification acts as a the sales job specification acts as a very vital tool in understanding initial training needs. The second is the trainee's background and experience. Again, as I said, employees join organizations with unique KSAs. They have they have knowledge, skills and abilities which are very different to each other, and so there will always be a gap between what is something which the job specification lays out and what is something which the freshly joined trainee actually possesses. So, it is important to identify the gap between his education, between the trainees or the fresh recruits' educational qualifications, past job experiences and present job requirements to design effective sales programs. Also, the sales related marketing policies as well as the line of products need to be analyzed. For example, in the case of B2B, new employees must be trained on the knowledge about the product, how to make presentations, how to give demonstrations, etc. So, initial training needs for freshly hired trainees can be identified through the job by taking help from the job specification and by looking at the individual trainee's background and also look at the sales related marketing policies. With respect to existing employees, this training needs here or a training assessment would mean identifying continual training needs, or identifying continuing training needs. So, such programs are mainly organized for existing employees to update their KSAs. Existing salesperson may be required to undergo training when new products are launched or in case of new markets or adoption of new technologies, and so continual training programs need to be conducted for them. Continuing training programs could also emerge from the poor performance of salespeople. In other words, if it is realized that people or in particular sales positions are not able to do well or not performing well, it may be realized that some kind of a training needs to be imparted. Now, this training could be not only training related to product knowledge or sales related marketing policies, it could also be training with respect to skill enhancement like interpersonal skills or team building or motivation or things like that. So, continual sales training program would either be because new information or new knowledge has to be imparted to the existing employees and their KSAs have to be enhanced. It could also be because it is realized that the sales performance of the current salespersons is not well up to the mark and they need to be improved upon. The second is to decide and prepare the training content. Now, the content of a training program is basically decided on the basis of the objectives of the program. So, what are the specific aims, whether it is with respect to the initial training program or the continual sales training program. Answer to this would actually be relevant in defining the content of the program. So, initial training programs are broader in scope, longer duration, more comprehensive and exhaustive, and they involve sharing of company information and background with the participants. On the other, and training them about the products, about the business lines, etc., so that they can perform well. Continuing training programs focus on specific objectives and usually of smaller duration than the initial sales training program. Initial sales training program would be long, very exhaustive, and very comprehensive and very structured, and all the fresh recruits would be made to go through that program. But on the other hand, continuing training programs will will be narrowly defined and focus on specific objectives. They would be of smaller duration than the initial sales training programs. So, Again, if we again make a comparison between what the content of an initial sales training program would be and what the content of a continual sales training program would be, we get to see here that the initial sales training program focuses on preparing new salespeople on all the aspects of the job. Topics which will be covered in the training will include sales related marketing policies and procedures, sales department relationships with other departments, also the sales department's personnel policies and company information. So they'll talk about the product knowledge, which is very, very essential for salespeople. It becomes very important for salespeople to have an in-depth knowledge about the kind of product and services they will be dealing with. So the salespersons are the one who deals with customers, with prospects, with members of the trade channel, and so it's very important that they have the product related knowledge. The second thing which the fresh trainees must know is about the market. The knowledge of the existing as well as potential markets can play a key role in assisting salespersons in generating leads and preparing advanced plans for approaching the customers. So here the market knowledge would include both in knowledge and information about the customers, existing and prospective. It also would mean having knowledge about competitors' products and competitors' product offerings. So they must also have information and knowledge about the company. The salespeople act as a vital link between the prospective buyers and the company. So as representative of the company, they should know about the company history, the company vision and mission, the strategic plans of the company. They must also know about the success stories, the important clients or important accounts that the company has. And they must also possess other company information like sales related policies and procedures for dealing with customers efficiently. Also, the newly hired trainees must be given training on selling skills and sales techniques. New salespeople must be trained well to deal with customers. They must be well prepared while presenting themselves to customers. Selling skills here play a very, very important role in bridging the gap between an average sales call and an outstanding sales call. So it's very important that there is a skill development here, that the trainees are made to go through a process of skill development, and those who already possess these skills may go through a process of skill enhancement. On the other hand, continual sales training programs will focus on improving upon and updating the knowledge, skills and abilities of the existing sales force. It could be, as I said, either to update them on newer developments in the company, be it new businesses, be it new success stories, be it new clients or accounts, or be it new product lines and technologies. It could also be aimed at improving their performance. So here then the content does not relate much to the company, but the content would relate to issues like team building, leadership, motivation, so that the people can begin to work better, and they can turn out to be better, they can be good performers from just being average or below average performers. So the topics that should be covered in the training content should include information about newly launched products and technologies, newer market segments, change in the sales organization, new skills, even negotiation skills, and preparing them for higher roles or higher responsibilities in life. So with this we come to an end of the first lecture on training. The references are Cundiff and Still, Govani and Puri, Sales and Distribution Management, Pearson, India. Panda and Sehdev, Sales and Distribution Management, 2nd edition, Oxford University Press, and Greenberg, Behavior and Organizations, Global Edition, 10th edition, which is Pearson Education in Services. So this brings us to an end of the 5th lecture on the 5th module of the course. I hope you found this lecture beneficial. Thank you.